Welcome to part 2 of Piper the Penguin tutorial. We're going to start off by making the wings, so we need to make a magic circle. So you're going to take your yarn and wrap it around your top 3 fingers like this, creating 2 parallel lines on one side and an X on the other side. Then grab your hook and go under the first and over the second loop. Twist your hook like this and grab the yarn to pull it through that loop. If you didn't catch that, don't worry, I'll show you again in slow motion. So grab your yarn and wrap it around your top 3 fingers like this. It's going to create an X on one side and 2 parallel lines on the other side. And then grab that loose yarn with your pinky like that. And take your crochet hook, go under the first loop and over top the second, and bring the second under that first loop while twisting your hook at the same time. And then you're going to grab that working piece of yarn and pull it right through the loop. If you're still having trouble understanding, I do have a separate tutorial link down below exclusively to do the magic ring. And now we can single crochet like normal. We're going to put 6 single crochets into this loop, and make sure you're single crocheting over top of both the tail and the ring. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to pull the tail shut later. So that's 5 single crochets and 6. And now hold firmly with your thumb and forefinger and pull the tail shut. And now we're going to make an increase in that very first stitch here. So pop in your first single crochet of the round. And then we're going in the exact same hole. We are going to pop a second single crochet to make an increase. And then we're going to pause here and we're going to mark the very first stitch that we did. So that would be the second V down from the loop. And we're going to make an increase in each one of these 6 single crochets, so we're going to end up with 12 single crochets by the end of this round. This is the last crochet of the round here, and we are going to move on to round 3. Round 3, we're going from 12 single crochets up to 18, so we're going to be increasing in every other stitch. So remove your stitch marker. And you can place your first single crochet of the round. And then pause and mark that stitch. Now moving into the next stitch, we are going to place an increase. And then in the next stitch, we are doing 1 single crochet. And then increase in the next stitch. And just keep repeating that until you get back to the stitch marker. Okay, so we're all done here. We can remove the stitch marker, and now we're going to close the wing shut. So before we close it shut, don't forget to weave in that end so that it doesn't become unraveled. So just going in and out of random stitches to weave in that end. I'm just going to give it a trim to make closing the wing easier. And then we're going to fold the wing in half and single crochet across both sides of it to close it. So pop your crochet hook in and go in both sides of the wings like this. So you should have 2 entire stitches on your hook. I'll show you that again, going in the front side and then immediately into the back side. And just place a normal single crochet. And then in the next one, you're going in both sides again and another single crochet. And just keep going across the entire wing until the whole thing is shut and it looks like a semicircle. And then you can leave a long tail for sewing and pull the yarn right through to fasten it off. So you need 2 wings, so repeat this process all over again and then we will do the beak. To make the beak, we're going to start off with another magic ring. Again, if you need help, you can go back to the beginning of the video with a slower tutorial, or I have a separate tutorial link down below. So once you have your magic ring, you're going to pop 6 single crochets into there. Remember to make sure you're single crocheting over both the tail and the ring. So once you have your 6 single crochets, you can pull that shut. And then you can pop in your first single crochet of the next round and mark that stitch. So single crochet and then mark the stitch. And now for this round, all we're doing is 1 single crochet all the way around. So at the end of this row, we are also going to only have 6 single crochets. And that completes the beak, so you can fasten off once you are done the 6 single crochets. So remove your stitch marker. And then I like to close off by making a slip stitch into the first stitch. Like so, and then you can leave a long tail for sewing and cut the yarn. And then don't forget to weave in the end of your beak as well. And then I will show you how to sew it onto the penguin after we're done the belly. For the belly, we're going to start off with another magic ring. And once you have that done, you're going to pop in 6 single crochets into the ring. Again, make sure you're single crocheting over top both the tail and the ring. That's 3, 4, 5, and 6, and now you can pull the ring shut. The next round we are going to be increasing in each stitch, so we are going to place our first increase in that first stitch and then mark the first stitch that we did. That's the second V from the loop. And then again, just increase in each stitch all the way around for a total of 12 stitches. And then in the next round, we are going to be increasing in every other stitch to go from 12 to 18 stitches. So pop in your first single crochet of the next round and mark that stitch. And then in the next stitch, we are going to place an increase. And then single crochet in the next and increase in the next. And just keep repeating that all the way around until you get back to the stitch marker. This is going to be our last round. So now that you're done, you can remove your stitch marker and place a slip stitch into the first stitch of that round so that we can have a nice little neat fastening off. Trim the tail, leave a long tail for sewing, and then weave in the middle tail as well. And now we're going to assemble our penguin. I'm going to start off by sewing the belly onto the penguin. I go one row underneath the eyes and just make sure it's centered between the eyes. And if you've never sewed a piece onto an amigurumi before, all you do is poke your needle into one side of the body and then one stitch of the belly. And you're just going to do that all the way around the belly, just a simple whip stitch until you've completed the round. Just make sure while you're sewing that it stays centered between the eyes the entire time. And then once you're done, I like to just kind of crisscross the ends so that they stay shut. And then pop in your needle and poke the white out the other side of the penguin, and then you can trim it off. Next we'll be attaching the wings to each side. So I like to start off on the left side. And I like to make sure the wing has the curved edge facing forward. And I go about 3 stitches back from the eye. So here you can see the curved edge is facing forward. And then again, all you're going to be doing is just poking your needle in one side of the body and then through the top of the wing. And do about 5 or 6 stitches here to make sure the wing is super secure. Now for the other wing, it's a little bit more complicated because we want to make sure the wings are facing the same direction, but the ending of the yarn is going to be on the wrong side of the wing for the right side. So here I'm just going to show you how to fix that. So you can see that's actually the wrong side. It's not the same way that the other wing is oriented. So to fix it, to make sure they both look the exact same, all you have to do is pop your needle into the wing and pull that tail through to the other side of the wing, just like this. Just make sure not to yank on that tail super tight or else it's going to kind of make the wing look funny. So now both the wings are facing the same direction and they look the same from the front and each side. So now all you have to do is sew the wing on, making sure that it's the exact same distance away from the eye that the other wing is. Last but not least, we're going to sew the beak on. So the beak is super simple and you're just going to thread your needle right on there and sew the beak in between the eyes. Just make sure it's symmetrical on both sides and everything is super even before you start sewing. And I like to trim that beak tail in the middle to make it way easier to sew it on. Just make sure that you wove it in before you cut it. And then all you're gonna do is kind of squish the beak in half so that when you're sewing, it's more of a beak shape. And then just make sure it's in between the eyes and just sew it on. There you have it. There's your Piper the Penguin. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please leave a comment down below, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.